Nope.
No?
No, man. I gotta go to work, man. We can't wait.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
right.
All right. Greetings, Earthlings. This is your boy, Maurice Shelton. I'm joined here by my lovely friends, comrades. Got Bernadette. I don't want to call you Bernie. Like, I want to call you Bree so bad, but I'm going to just be like, okay, Miss Benjamin. I'm sorry, Miss Benjamin. Who? We got Mr. Paul Richardson. We got the infamous, the dangerous Mega Robinson Mega. And then we got in recess, she's coming soon, Miss Kristen Norris. This is Not Information, episode 2. Again, this is a safe space for all that come to listen. This is made for Black folks. We all across the nation, all across the world. So please enjoy yourself while you listen. It's just us talking shit, maybe giving a little bit of facts, a little bit of education, a little bit of this and that. First, we're going to talk about gun control. Guns, the presence of guns or firearms in light of all of the things that have happened over the past few years in terms of, and I'm talking as an American, in terms of armed resistance in the streets, armed demonstrations by far-right actors. You have a rising response amongst people who are committed to civil rights and human rights about the idea of armed resistance, having a firearm. So for me, I'm an American who lives in Japan. So the gun culture here is completely opposite of what I grew up with. I'm from the South, and I'm one of the few people that in my family, in my immediate family, as well as my extended family, that have never joined the military or a police organization, a law enforcement organization. But I do know my way around a gun or two. I haven't shot one in a long time because, like I said, I live here in Japan, and it's pretty hard to get a gun here. So I wanted to just bring up this topic just because, again, a lot of people, if we're doing class analysis, you have a lot of people who look like us on this podcast that say, oh, well, we got a revolution going because we got Donald Trump out the office, which I'll call BS on, because the conditions of the rank and file, the people that are out there struggling with the pandemic, as well as just being Black, have not changed, and they will not materially change in any significant way in the next 3 months once Inauguration Day happens, and then we get a couple of months under Joe Biden's belt. So I wanted to just go around the panel and ask you all a couple questions. 1, have you ever shot a gun before? 2, do you own a gun? And 3, what are your views on guns or firearms in American society and in society in general, and in different civilizations? Is it a good idea to have a population that have easy access to guns and firearms, or should we just shut it all down and try to hope for the best when it comes to interpersonal violence as well as state violence? So who wants to go first? You're all muted. Miss Benjamin, Mr. Richardson. Y'all didn't even get to introduce yourselves and shit. Sorry.
Cool. They can check out the last episode. We ain't doing no more introductions.
Like y'all know what's by now. Shit, y'all better catch up.
Damn.
Right.
I'm gonna repost. Oh, we're gonna post the old episodes of This Fire This Time in the Facebook group.
Right.
We got like 150 people in the Facebook group, so thank y'all for tuning
yeah,
in.
it's getting. I'm feeling the pressure now, man. I'm like, oh, people actually kind of watching. Oh no, shit, I gotta watch myself.
But yeah, so did everybody get that?
Yeah, I think Mega had something he wanted to.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Get it, Mega.
I tend to. I do a lot of talking all the time, so I'm trying my best to let people get in first and not be the first person to speak
Mega,
all the damn
time. Mega, did you bring the llama out, Mega?
Indeed. I mean, Yeah, somebody go first, and I'll jump in later.
Okay.
I missed the prompt, so please, Bernadette, so I can kind of figure
Okay.
out what was
Gotcha.
There
it.
she is.
Oh, can you type it in the chat?
Yeah, I got you.
This, Kristen.
Miss
Did you
Nora
do
says
this, Kristen? Did
she
you
has
do this?
Right. So just my initial answers to the question. So no, I've never shot a gun, thank God. No, I don't own a gun, thank God. And by my responses, you could tell I'm not somebody who is for guns. I totally understand the concept of self-defense, and understanding that, you know, everybody wants to be able to protect themselves. I personally don't necessarily think that we have to have guns in order to do that. But if we are in a society that allows people to have easy access to guns, which I think is a problem. I think that if we're gonna have guns, I think we need a little bit more regulations. And also we can get in that a little later, but just like the racial dynamics of who gets targeted for having guns versus others and things like that. We can get into that a little later, but I personally think that if we want to have guns, I think there needs to be a little bit more regulations. But I also think that, like, you know, instead of using a gun, which can link to a lot of different things like toxic masculinity and unnecessary use of excess force, we should, like, you know, put money towards programs to allow people to learn how to do like martial arts or like physical, I don't want to say fighting, but like, you know, like those kind of like programs that teach people how to actually fight and defend themselves like with their own body. But I want to recognize why people would think that having a gun is good, for whatever reason they feel is necessary. But I personally don't feel comfortable with a society that thinks that guns is the best way to protect ourselves. That's my personal view. That's, at least, I want to hear everybody, and then I can like think about what y'all say, but that's where I'm at the beginning.
Good turn.
anybody want to go? You want to go, Paul?
I can
You wanna
go.
go, Kristen?
So yes,
I'll let Paul do the honors.
I've shotguns. I was raised in a house with a Southern great grandmother, and she kept the shotties under the bed and the money in the bed. That's how we was raised.
And there you
So
go.
shotties on the bottom, money in the middle, sleep on the top. Anyway, so yeah, I saw guns very young, shotguns, big. They was huge too. I was like, man, what? Like, I remember going under the bed, like, what is that? And she was keeping it like in a sheet too. And so you being nosy before you get that whooping, and then you know you looking in the sheet like, what? And then, well, you see, this. I've had this conversation. I had this conversation with Maya about getting whippings yesterday. Whole nother subject. Anyway, yes, New Year's we shotguns. She had like one of those long revolver joints, and you just, you know, go on the back porch in Cleveland. They letting off shots. And then my stepfather was a Vietnam vet, so he had a gun in the house, which was kind of dangerous. And then my brother and my stepbrother, he had a gun. I shot a gun. My friends had guns. I got shot at. Everything, running from the guns, running from the bullets. And so, yeah, I've been around guns my whole life, I guess. But in a different way, not necessarily in terms. Some people had it for protection. Some people just felt, you know, they felt safe living in the hood. I think it was a natural thing from my great grandmother. She just coming from the South. She had guns. Everybody had guns. And then when I got into my teens, you know, people had guns for various reasons, legal and illegal. And so I feel like at one point I felt like if I stayed in the United States, I needed to get a weapon. I felt uncomfortable having a weapon around, like obviously my wife who's Japanese, and there's no, you know, it's hard to get a gun in Japan. Although I think my brother has a gun. He's a monk. I have to check with that, but I think I feel like he got one like it's not a gun, like a rifle or something, because you can get them for hunting and you can go through the process. I think it takes like 4 months, and then every year you have to redo it.
Yeah, they got you on a registry. Yeah.
Yeah, you on the registry. Because I thought about it at one point, but I knew if I definitely stay in the United States, I would get a gun. I'm not pro gun. I'm not for guns. I don't feel like we need guns, but also I feel like we are surrounded by guns in Japan anyway. Because when you think about Japan, you think about all the bases. People got guns. There are people with guns here, and they're not mainly Japanese. Or so that was always a feeling like maybe I needed to have a gun. But yeah, I'm not pro gun. I wouldn't say I'm pro gun. I'm pro choice. Like if you want to have a gun, just keep it away from me. And I think, if you want to hunt, I think you should. I mean, I feel no, like if you want to go kill your meat, if that's how you choose to do things, I know it's very. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're killing this. You don't want to go to the store. I feel like that's okay. But I don't know if they're necessary, man. I live in a place 5 years, no guns. The police don't even have guns that I know of, that I haven't seen. And I think there are other ways to deal with things. But if you live in Cleveland on Martin Luther King, you probably need a weapon. Anywhere, probably. In the United States, you live on Martin Luther King, you probably need a weapon. And that's just facts, because I lived on Martin Luther King, and people had weapons. I mean, so, yeah. Anyway.
Cool. I guess it's my turn. So
And she catch bullets with her teeth. Bullets with her teeth. No.
I'm the new Power Boy. What's that show? Power. No, but I actually have shot a gun. Funny, that was actually one of my first dates. My dude that I was dating brought me to a gun range, and yeah, that was interesting. First of all, I was kind of mad because the dude, or the cashier, the guy who was in charge of sales or whatnot, he asked me to pick a target because you get to pick your own targets. And of course I chose someone not Black, and he's like, oh, why don't you pick the Black one, equal opportunity and shit. And I was just like, this is why I didn't even want to be here, because people like you were here. I don't know why I decided to come here with you, but
Wow.
yeah. It took me a lot to not I was kind of pissed off, but I'm just like, you know what, just maybe I should just shoot the target and release some anger. But so I have shot a gun. I do not own a gun, but my dad owns a semi-automatic revolver. Apparently he's got enemies, so keeps that in a little storage safe. I know where the bullets are, but I can't access the gun, so
Even bullets expensive.
Oh, them.
I know. You said that. So my thoughts on guns, I'm not really a pro-gun person either. I'd rather we not have to use them, but of course, America is such a trigger-happy place. Everything else in the Constitution can be kind of dilly-dallied with, but when it comes to your Second Amendment right to bear arms, then everyone's all huff and puff, and I'm just like, okay, well, I see your priority is weapons, but I mean, the fact that people just feel so unprotected to need to carry guns just shows that America has a problem itself in regards to safety. It's like, why do you always feel the need to carry such a weapon around? But if you're feeling that unsafe in your country, I feel like there's a deeper problem to consider than the weapon itself. But here in Maryland, of course, we have a lot of countryside area, and people do have permits to hunt. And I can understand wanting to hunt for game, because some people don't like the store-bought meats. They're like, oh, it's full of hormones and it's not good for you. And I'm just like, okay, fair enough. But I honestly don't see the need to have a gun unless it's for self-protection, in your own home. For example, if someone were to break in, you would have something handy, and of course for hunting, but other than that, and I guess for school shootings, there could be gun that only the teacher would know how to access in case of a school shooting, but those are the only 3 instances that I could think where guns would be appropriate. So yeah. Oh, Bernie, you look like you want to say something. Good.
I'm gonna let Mega go. I'm gonna think on this one.
Teachers with guns. Yes, I love it. Let's do it. Mega, Dozo.
Bet. Well, you know, I grew up, both my father and my stepdad, Black men, grew up in the Marine Corps. And so anything around the Marine Corps is going to be a little bit more conservative, right-wing politics when it comes to gun control. Obviously, a lot of them own guns and use guns in their daily work and whatnot. So my stepdad never owned a gun, or if he did, he never had it around the house. My father never pulled his gun out and showed me how to use his gun around the house. And I grew up in the 90s around a lot of gun violence, and, you know, friends were shot at, people were shot at. I've shot guns. I've owned guns, registered and unregistered. And, you know, people in my family have been victims to gun violence. Last year, my nephew was shot 5 times in Houston, and luckily he survived. But, you know, I think that I've grown a lot in my politics. When I was younger, I had a very kind of liberal democratic idea about gun control, and that I would never really need to use guns. I was scared of guns. When the homies had guns out, I was scared that somebody mismanage it, I'll get shot. And when I was younger, I really had the idea that why would I need guns if I have insurance to protect my property and the police at my disposal if anything was to get too crazy. As I grew, and especially my time spent in Texas, my views on guns changed quite a bit, especially as it became more of a kind of, you know, public narrative that was being discussed, or at least I was paying attention to it. I just think that at this point, man, for the United States, the toothpaste is already out of the canister. We cannot just put the guns back. We can't take away the guns from law-abiding citizens because then only the criminals will have them. I just view that as something that's very difficult to become accomplished. But also, historically, gun control laws have always been used to as a racist and classist reactionary suppression of people. And the gun control laws, the modern laws that we know now, are largely because, like the 67 Milford Act, 68, the Black Panthers, Black folks arming themselves. Most notoriously, maybe from the Democrats, is in 1994, the Clinton Gun Control Act is one of the things that limit a lot of guns. And so, yeah, I can see why people are opposed to the Democrats in this regard. I think that gun control is something that is just too far gone, and any revolutionary should want at least access to guns. And anybody who wants to be able to protect themselves should want access to guns. I see you shaking your head, Bernie, but I understand where you're coming from. At this point, it's a really wild idea to believe that you would be able to stop the state and have a revolutionary, like a Bolshevik revolution, where you march with guns to the Capitol and seize power. And that's, you know, we're not winning that. We're not even winning that fight against the police force. And that's why, like, groups like the Not Fucking Around Coalition are just, it's LARPing, right? It's not really going down. But I do believe that any, like Paulie typed in the chat, there's no peaceful revolution. There will be none without bloodshed and violence. And you know, Fred Hampton was murdered in his bed. You know what I mean? And they had guns, and they didn't even fire back. Over 100 bullets they put into this man's apartment while knowing that there was a 9-month pregnant woman in there. And I think that that's something to remember when it comes to our thoughts about revolutionary action, gun control, and these are important things to remember when it comes to being Black and owning guns. So while I agree that not everybody needs to arm themselves, nor does everybody even need to know how to use a gun, I am very much against the idea of putting or of removing guns from the equation. And I think that If law-abiding citizens, if criminals can have access to guns, then a law-abiding citizen should be able to have access to guns. Obviously, I'm a lot more comfortable in Japan where I don't have to worry about that as much. But at the same time, in Japan, I would like to carry a knife, and I can't do that either. And removing guns from the equation is not going to stop violence or people from breaking your house or any of these things. And police are not a adequate measure for your protection either, especially for Black folks. So I don't know, man, like straight up. The history of gun control has always been to oppress a classist and racist oppression. And Black folks especially should remember that. And we should take note of all the revolutionaries who have been assassinated, even with their guns. So, I mean, I guess that's what I got to say about that.
All right. Yeah. Well,
I don't own guns anymore, though. I've given my guns away to the homies, and they're probably having fun shooting them too. I also think guns is just a dope hobby. It's fun to shoot guns at targets. It's fun. Like here, you could go and you could shoot clay pigeons. My father used to hunt deer with a bow and arrow and also with guns. So I think, you know, guns are fun tools too. Shooting is fun.
Okay. Bernie got something to say.
No, I'm just mortified.
Come on, let's do it. Come on.
I think that's where I'm at, because in high school I joined a program which was called like Save Our Streets, which was about like taking guns off the streets, because one, I didn't thankfully grew up in an actual community that had guns or gangs rather, but I went to a school that had a lot of like gang violence around. So for me, I just don't think that we necessarily need to have guns. But I do understand the idea of that, like it's hard to take it away from us, or us as in the community. My whole thing about that though, I agree with you that a lot of gun controls has been systematically racist and classist. On the same camp, the people who are supporting gun laws are white individuals from variations of classes that they're in. And at the same time, a lot of the reasons why they want to hold or carry a gun is kind of similar to what y'all are talking about, safety, self-protection or whatever. But what I've noticed, and from the little bit of, it's a little bit of research that I did for this podcast, but also previously in the number of years that I was thinking about gun laws, is that a lot of white individuals, from what I understand and what I read, it's kind of like they're taking the means of like self-protection in their own hands. Obviously, that's like the point of it, but they're also targeting Black individuals. If you go to a community that is predominantly white and they feel like your Blackness is a threat, they can, the same kind of argument that you're using, they can also use the same thing for. And that's, to me, I find 100% problematic. And also just the trainings themselves, the trainings in terms of getting a gun or applying for a license or something like that, like renewing your license. Like the trainings are not, they don't cover race, they don't cover class, they don't cover biases and how your biases, like how you should use the guns from what I've seen and things like that. And so for me, it just kind of feels counterintuitive to having a gun but not being able or not, like the government or whoever's doing these trainings who or the NRA or whatever, who are, you know, saying like, yeah, you can have these guns, but not even talking about the misuse of them in white communities or white individuals who are using it for the opposite, for like antagonism and things like that. So that's the first thing that came in my head. I will let other people talk so I don't like end up running like a whole mile or whatever. But I don't know. It's just not, there's better ways to go about it. And I think that we need to have.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking like we should like, I understand the apprehension English, for comprehension of you know, gun laws, and like I understand that, and I understand the history of them, and I understand the racism of it. That doesn't mean though that we should just give up and that be like, okay, well, because they're going to be racist anyway, we might not even try. I don't know, something about that logic is I don't want to say appalling, that's a very harsh word to use, scary. or worrisome, you know, like that's not, I don't know. I know that that's probably not where you were trying to get at, Mega, but like just seeing how so many people are, because I'm from New York City, I'm from Brooklyn. And so like I haven't seen somebody get killed, but I've heard a lot of stories just by walking to school and like knowing that there has been people who have been murdered around just the area that I went to school in like the past like 6 days, for example. And that's just not something that I don't know. I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead.
Are you good? No, I think, I mean, all the points are valid. Obviously, that goes without saying. But yeah, I think a lot of people who live in a big urban area like New York City, you know, one of the biggest in the world, we tend to have our blinders on to, like, you know, somebody mentioned in the chat, like the prospect of government tyranny actually affecting someone's daily life in, like, you know, every town USA in the Midwest for those white working class voters or whatever you want to call them that feel like they have to be a card carrying member of NRA. Those people's opinions form the foundation of the political machinations of this country, and I'm talking about America, obviously, and how American domestic policy goes, so does their foreign policy. So that's why you see a lot of people, even here in Japan, and other places where American military is present, that agree with the thinking of Americans that we must always hold on to our guns because it's a fighting chance for us if the government decides to be like the British Empire was, 300 years ago or whatever, But again, like, the reason why I brought up this subject last week or whatever is because, like Mega said, all of y'all said basically, it's like, yeah, the people that know, being here in Japan, being somewhere that guns are not readily available, it releases so much stress from your life because, if you know anybody, like Bernie just said, like walking to school or hearing about somebody in your neighborhood or 2 streets over getting shot for what reason, like that's kind of ridiculous to deal with as a child or a young adult. Like, just the prospect of death, like senseless death, it's right around the corner. And then, that's, for the hip hop heads that are listening out there, telling that story to people who don't necessarily have to deal with the prospect of dying at the hands of a firearm from someone who might look like you, it's baffling, but you can get that picture, by listening to, a mainstream hip hop artist or whatever, about how the other America lives. Because when I talk about class, a lot of times you got black folks that say, I ain't never touched a gun. I don't want to touch a gun. I only read about it in the newspaper and hear about it on the news. Those people over there, it happens, Kristen, you probably tell, people stories about that, like in terms of like Maryland is one of those places, where, yeah, you could live like DC or like PG or like Howard, Montgomery, it's all different stuff. The same for me. I'm from Atlanta. Like, if you live on Bankhead, like, it's a completely different experience or like idea around the fact of having a gun in the house and who is allowed to use that gun or who is deemed to be worthy of having a firearm. Bankhead versus like Terra Boulevard versus, Peachtree City versus, Lilburn or something like that, where some of these places are sundown towns. And, the history of America is that if you owned a gun, that probably meant that you were trying to control the movement of Black people. And that goes for today, for most people, when we talk about firearm violence, that's the reaction is, oh, we need more policing. We need more agents of the carceral state to reduce or to even like completely restrict the movements of people that are deemed dangerous to American society. So I get it. I mean, but for me, I was always taught if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I owned a gun, a few guns, shot. I was on the rifle team in my high school. air rifle, but I had to shoot, real. So, yeah.
Wait,
So
people had a rifle team?
yeah, I was on an air rifle
They was
team.
like, come up in here.
Yeah, no, but like it was the thing, like you said, like Chris's story, like when she went to the range, I rubbed shoulders with those people that they don't even think about the fact that their lives would be so much better, or like the lives of their fellow country people would be so much better without, 100 and something million firearms sitting out there waiting to kill somebody accidentally or intentionally, like just like, no, because we good old boys, we hunt, we shoot, that's what we do. Because it's baked into our culture. We, I keep saying the country of the United States of America, that project is a settler colonial project all the way. Settlers, they go in and kill shit, point blank, period. If colonials, they maintain a social order with the threat of nature coming back to what it once was before they came, right? So you have some people that say, well, America, the cowboys, the Wild Wild West, we conquered the Wild West. It's like, well, how? Like we were built off a foundation of violence. So for some people to say that, yeah, we're going to we should get rid of guns, it's like, well, you have to look at the history of the American project, even before the beginnings, how it was founded is through the barrel of a gun, same goes international.
Because saying we should get rid of guns is legitimate though.
It is. No, that's not, yeah.
The history
is
No,
unrealistic.
I'm
that's
not.
what I'm saying.
I'm not disagreeing with it, but it's legitimate. It's a legitimate argument.
No, it's definitely legit. Yeah.
No, like,
of course.
So I think we should differentiate between history, right, and socialization, cultural, and saying that you can get rid of guns if you change the government, you change the Constitution. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, we live in a place where they've changed the Constitution. Another country changed the Constitution; they don't have guns. So to say that it doesn't,
segue right here.
It exists. It exists. I mean, we live in a place where it's proof that we've gotten rid of guns in someone else's country, but we can.
Yeah. But I mean, and that goes into the next top. Yeah, go ahead.
No country has ever had the sheer quantity of guns that we have now, and that's where it becomes interesting and unrealistic to think that we can remove guns from the equation. And that's kind of the issue with it for most people that own guns, is that if you can create gun buybacks and programs that would prevent certain segments of the population from getting guns through all types of different legislation. But the fact of the matter is that if you remove guns from law-abiding citizens, people who do not want to give up their guns become criminals. And 2, only criminals will have guns. And who commits the crimes? Fucking criminals. So it's a sticky situation. I just feel that it's tremendously unrealistic to remove guns from the equation of the United States now without mass bloodshed. And so that's also, it's fascist.
I would kind of slightly agree with Meg on that. Just
So
trying
it's
to
the
completely
U.S. creating.
remove
Oh, sorry,
it.
Kristen. Go ahead.
No. No, I was just like, to Mega's point, I was saying that actually makes a lot of sense though, because I mean, that's cyclical way of how trying to remove guns in that way, just trying to we're just taking it from everyone, including the people who are not criminals. It's going to create more criminals. And the thing is, I also feel like for us, and I'm not saying that it's going to be this way in 50 years or so, because of course our culture is going to change just because the demographic is also changing. But the thing is who you approve of in terms of who you approve of using these guns also plays a big factor, because obviously people who hunt, we're okay, well, they're hunting so they can use guns. And then people who basically self-store guns, they have the approval of the majority of the population to carry a gun just because it's in their own home and it's used as something for self-protection. I would only say for now as a temporary solution, and this is going more deep into another area, but in terms of mass shootings at schools, of course, the issue is that mental health is not being addressed at a critical level. Obviously people who are not mentally stable and who have access to guns, and they shouldn't be, are getting a hold of these weapons and are basically having mass school shootings. And I know this is a big issue because like, obviously my mom works for HRSA, so she talks about all the time how these policies of getting people checked into rehab, and then after like 2 weeks or so, they can just come out like because they want to, not because like their evaluator or like the doctor they're seeing approves of, because they have that right to check themselves out. That's very fucking flawed. Excuse my French. But like, for as a temporary measure, like I feel like if there's an authorized personnel or somebody, it could be a teacher or a principal or whatever, only knows the access code to a stored gun in case of a school shooting, that might help alleviate some of these issues, just because it takes approximately like 10 minutes for the police to get to a school. And like in 10 minutes, I mean, like anything could happen. So in general, like just removing guns from the equation is not going to solve anything, but trying to figure out how it can be regulated easier, I mean, how it can be regulated better would definitely be helping. Now, how that's going to be done, I don't know.
Right, that's what I was thinking. That's why I was saying that if we're not going to take guns away, there needs to be better regulations, and those regulations cannot have racist undertones or racist implications. And that's the thing that I'm more concerned about, because when I think about guns when I was younger, because everybody who was in my community looked like me or had the same race category as me, we were talking about Black individuals because of gangs, right? And so, and that led to like the idea that Black people are dangerous and they can't have guns. But my concern as of right now is that there are a lot of racist individuals who can carry a gun, and everybody's like, yeah, that's your God-given right. That's Constitution gives you that right to hold, like, carry a gun and use it for your self-protection. And as we've seen countless times, self-protection, depending on the person, I don't want to say is malleable or fictitious, but like they like if I'm thinking of the common scenario of like a white woman jogging, for example, and a Black man, for example, just happens to walk by, then it feels as if like she's threatened. To me, and then being able to have the gun and be able to like, oh, I should, just because I am more worried about that. I'm more worried about white individuals who have these very dangerous biases, being able to carry out those biases in ways that the government is not necessarily looking at, because the policies that we have in place only affect or mostly affect those who are in marginalized communities. So for me, if we don't want to take away guns, mega fine, but let's actually have a conversation about what are better policies that we can implement or think about that looks at that group, look at the group that really wants to have the guns, but are not really willing to understand that racism plays a part in them allowing to have guns, but then them allowing to use those guns without real repercussions that we end up seeing in marginalized communities. I want to talk about that. If we want to get rid of guns, we all want to be all gun happy. Let's talk about that. I don't mean to be forceful. I'm just passionate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course, this conversation requires a lot of nuance. If you frame it from a variety of ways, there's a lot of gun violence within a Black community against each other, and there's through all classes in the United States, there's gun violence. There's issues of increased suicide. Houses that have guns are more likely to be like shoot each other or something. So there is a lot of nuance here. And in order to kind of solve the problem, it has to come through legislation. And when it comes to legislation, we have to look at the framework in which our laws are written and in the way that we can approach making these type of changes. So if we were to try to remove guns from the equation, it would mean radically reframing the Constitution and amending and changing the Constitution, which I suppose now is a good segue to get into our next conversational point about the Constitution, whether or not we should abolish it or what type of changes need to be made to make a more ideal society. And to start, I suppose, the United States Constitution is currently like the oldest governing constitution in the world right now. It is also just laughably difficult to change. the sheer number of political actors and the type of things that you need to do to change the Constitution to remove the right to bear arms are just so ridiculously tough. So I believe, and Maurice, maybe you would like to kind of reframe the question. I believe, well, actually, let me just let you frame the question for us then, Maurice.
Okay. Well, I put it in the chat. Most of the listeners, I would assume, are familiar with America and American culture, which most people, if you've come up in American culture, you assume the Constitution is something that is just, it's in the background, and most people understand what it means without really understanding the text in full. So I wanted to ask, you kind of set me up for it. The word sacrosanct, is this document that people say is one of the most dynamic and one of the most important legal documents of modern history? Is it something that is above reproach? Is it something that is above criticism? Is it something that can actually be amended to the point where it does fulfill the spirit of the preamble, which means, ensuring the tranquility of the people? And that's another phrase that I wanted to get into, because we just talked about gun rights, having guns. But usually if you look through history, even here in Japan, if you are part of the samurai class, you are allowed to carry a weapon. And that afforded you certain rights that were inalienable according to the social structure at the time. So some people, when they talk about the Constitution, it means, it gives us the right. It gives us the right to blah, 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 right? My Second Amendment rights, blah, blah, blah. I got freedom of speech, First Amendment rights, right? But some people would say, okay, for example, I brought this up in the private, the group chat, like the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments. In my opinion, in my wildest dreams, if we can't actually earthquake, oh shit. Yeah. You made my earthquake. Oh, you made my earthquake. I'm shaking still.
Drinking a lot.
Right now?
Yeah, I'm shaking around and you're making my heart beat.
Sorry to interrupt.
All right. Somebody, yeah.
I told you, like, Bernie, it'd be happening.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm sitting here like.
First, I thought you were just singing a song. I'm like,
no, I sang it because
I just thought Mega was just rocking.
My legs are shaking.
Me too.
No earthquake.
My joint was shaking a little bit over here.
Mega,
I felt it right when I said like the pre. I was like, oh shit! Like I'm gonna get earthquake.
They heard you. That's what they heard. They heard you with the sonic wave, bro.
Yeah. Nah. So.
But chill,
most people like
chill. Talk about 14, 15, but chill.
I know, right? No, it's for real. They were like, "You talking about slavery, motherfucker?" Ancestors said, "Hey, shut the fuck up, dog."
JST time.
Yeah. But I was about to say something real wild. I proposed this in like a couple of other chats that I had with some people that are like-minded. And I'm like, yo, what if there was a nationwide push to abolish the 13th Amendment? First off, because they made a big hullabaloo last year about the documentary that Ava DuVernay made. But it's like, yo, it's still like a loophole, and for people that, like I think 2 of 3 of us have lived in California, and I don't know if y'all ever been to San Diego, but like I lived in San Diego and there was like a lot of wildfires before I came, and it's true for like once you go up north too, like to criminalize somebody and then to make them do labor like that where they could die, that's like a foundation of like the economy that we have today in the United States. A lot of like prison labor is being used to make a lot of the stuff that we consume without even thinking about it. Like Walmart still uses prison labor, I believe. I think Whole Foods does too. So that loophole in the 13th Amendment that you can't punish, you can't deprive anybody of their freedom unless they are, being punished by a court of law, which can be perverted, as you all have seen, like in light of all the stuff that's happened with the current occupant. You got a lot of people that can interpret the law one way and it's actually the other way, to quote, Marlowe. What is the other way though? It's a question. So I wanted to just go around the room, like, for y'all, first, yes or no, just a simple yes or no. Should the Constitution be abolished? And then two, the second question, what are some of the essential laws or things that you would want to see in a new Constitution if it were thrown away in our lifetimes? So I'll let y'all go. Who wants to go first?
Look like Paul's ready.
All right.
Paul.
So
Paul Wall.
yes, and it will never happen. But
Yes, it will.
it will not happen because of racism.
Gotta have hope.
No, I have no hope. Ask the Native Americans about hope. No, so this is what I think. I'm serious though. When you look at the indigenous population, you look at South America, you look at AfroCom, you look at all these, you look at Japan. Japan's a perfect example. Because like I spoke in front of the Article 9 Coalition, I'm writing this reflection, and they are steadfast. They believe, these people, Japanese people, believe that Article 9, which says that in the Constitution that Japan is a pacifist country. There is a price to pacifism. So this goes to the ideal that if we take away all the guns too, someone needs to have guns, because you have too many outside countries and too many outside things involved. Unless the world becomes pacifist and non-race and anti-racist and all these things, someone will take advantage of that and run up in you. It's just natural. It's a law order, right? The predator and the prey. And it would be great to get beyond that, right? But even knowing, right, about like being in Japan is a perfect example, and learning that Japan didn't even write their constitution, but there are organizations who align with, organizations like Black Lives Matter and other organizations who are protesting and doing these things, who believe in the Constitution, and that Constitution written by another country is the document that is legit, is the right way to go, right? And I think that changing the US Constitution there would need to be an awakening of class, right? A severe turn left. And I don't mean, and I don't know if that will happen in the rural areas. I don't see communism in the rural areas, or even in the smaller cities. Like, I don't know. So that's where I feel like, yes, we should do something different. Will it happen? And then, like, even Omega alluded to, the whole ideal of the three branches of government, the lobby, we got to get rid of the lobbyists. You got to get rid of the corporations being humans. They buy water and air. I don't know. I guess I'm very pessimistic when it comes to that's why I live in Japan, which also is crazy. But next.
I'll go. Shit. Abolish that motherfucker, man. It's completely. I mean, look, it's not to say that things within the Constitution are not ideal standards for a society to conduct themselves by. Like the idea that all people are created equal is a wonderful premise and a wonderful idea. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in gun control, like the freedom to guns and just a whole variety of things. But the Constitution as it was created is really just like a charter for plutocracy. It is just a charter for rich people to have control and to create a society in which they can maintain. I think that the idea and the reverence that we have for it and kind of the reactionary politics that come from like having strict constitutional framework, it's not something that ever really truly existed, even by the founders. I was reading just the other day about Thomas Jefferson. He wrote a letter to Madison discussing how like no society should have a perpetual constitution that contractually binds future and younger generations. And there should be sunset clauses on these ideas that change and evolve as the factors in society change and evolve. And I think that now more than maybe ever in my life, I'm starting to see more liberals lose this idea of romanticism with the Constitution, and more so kind of pushing for Biden to pack the courts, for to end the filibuster and do these things. And it's just, with the American Constitution and the way that our government is set up with so many political actors, I think that I wrote myself a note here about it, if I can just pull it up. So like Article 5, right, which is kind of like the culprit of that it makes it extremely difficult to change our Constitution. It says it makes it the hardest in the world to amend, by the way, of all the constitutions governing in the world. It says that in order to change the Constitution, it has to pass in both houses of Congress by 2/3. And then 3/4 of the state legislatures have to adopt it. And each state has 2 chambers. The number of people that and they don't even have to vote, by the way, like they can just opt out, and meaning that there will be no change because you don't have that majority. And that's fucking nuts to consider changing something. So more so than thinking that we can do some type of technocratic or incremental political approach to radically redefining this framework, it's going to have to come with swift change or not at all, I think. And there are some incremental changes that we can probably make to make the United States Constitution more palatable and more equal for people. But man, it is a difficult project, and which is why I frame my Marxist radicalism as an international project. And we need to be building cadre with the types of society that we want to emulate and form to create a international revolution for people. We have to build class consciousness amongst all the people in the world that are being oppressed by capitalism. And we're waking up more and more to that. Even these, like the leftist neoliberals, the democratic neoliberals are starting to figure that out. And we're seeing an increase in people who are claiming to be socialists, but just haven't read theory. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the most important things. Otherwise, you fall into this neoliberal, I'm socialist, but really I'm just a Barack Obama fan, and it just doesn't, or a Bernie Sanders fan, and it just doesn't pan out. We need to read theory on how to create these type of societies that would function better for people outside of the limitations of what we think is possible within capitalism. Was I rambling too much, Maurice?
I'm good.
Bernie, what you saying? What you got, Bernie? I see you.
We need more theory. If you read theory, you realize that when we're talking about socialism and communism, there is a political framework. Not everybody agrees the same, but there is something outside of this neoliberal capitalist American Constitution hegemony. So, yeah.
But too many people, the only thing I'm gonna say is too many people think they benefit from that society.
Too many people do benefit.
Too many, yeah, but too many people who don't benefit think they benefit, or they don't benefit. You know, they've been told that they benefit.
And we also like to use race to separate that class consciousness too. And the powers that be love to use that race and other things to separate class consciousness and cadre with each other. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. And to your point earlier about people in the rural South, man, read Hammer and Hoe by I can't remember his name, but yeah, communism in the South is kind of where it was popping the most. Black and white people joining together under communism to create change for workers' rights in the South in the 20th century. So Hammer and Hoe, what is his name? He's my dude.
Robin Kelly.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm having a brain fart.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Cesar Chavez, you think about in California, workers' rights, Asians and Latinos and Black people got together. The thing, like I said, is that, but from a structure standpoint, it's complicated, and right. there's too much. You got to pull the money out, and maybe this is the time because America for all intents and purposes is broke. They spend so much money.
Class consciousness, man. I see a lot of things that we use to divide both sides of the party. We agree on a lot of things that are class based and beneficial to the working class in the United States. Look at the term like working class. When most people think about that today, they think about white people that are, you know what I mean, like fucking picking up bricks and shit. The majority of us is working class. Is black, brown, Asian, indigenous. Is working class, and most of us are. So class consciousness is so tremendously important to reframing, to achieving an abolishment of the Constitution.
Y'all got any smoke for the petite bourgeoisie that mislead us? Or no, we're gonna skip on over.
I'm writing something real nice right now about Barack Obama's interview in the Atlantic. I love those finger wagging. I'm black, so I'm gonna talk to black folks like a black preacher and hit y'all with the respectability politics, and then talk to white people about working class shit.
But I think that's the thing though, like, and that's where, I feel like the left lacks swag, man. Like, can I say it just like that? The left lacks swag. Like, there are not figures in this, and I'm not saying that I'm saying there shouldn't have to be, but you need those figures. Like my mother, she sent me, she know how I feel about Barack Obama, right? She sent me like, this is a good read. She had the book, in her like Instagram selfie pose, and he definitely has been promoted, right? And money has been, and he ran like the first like Instagram email, campaign, and he was getting small donations, $5 donation. He was getting working class donation. And someone like my mother, who's, fairly educated, maybe working class, she loves Barack Obama. I seen a lady, they be having them on TV, ladies crying and all this other stuff. And so that's my biggest thing with somebody like Bernie Sanders, is like, he had the best ideas, he had the resume, he was not likable. And you have to be, and until we get a certain amount of education to the masses, you need that. You need AOC, right? But they don't want to mess with AOC.
Well, AOC, she also helped. She got socialist policies, but she neoliberal too. She want to get a list of people who like Trump instead of a list of people who got lobbyists. You know what I mean? It's weird that I think that one of the biggest problems is that with the black community, there has been a mass propaganda program that was highly successful post civil rights movement and post Black Power movement. They managed to turn all of our political struggles into these race issues that remove class from the equation, remove socialism and communism from the equation. Who is more swaggy than Fred Hampton? You know what I mean? Like, that fool is a Marxist Leninist. He would probably be a Maoist if Maoist literature was around at the time. And it's like, when we got people on MSNBC, black folks speaking for black folks, and your Michael Eric Dyson's, who is a hip hop whisperer, and telling us what our politics should be as black folks, without us going back and actually doing the knowledge and education, we fall into this neoliberal trap where we think that, respectability politics, pulling our pants up, is going to pull us up by our bootstraps too. When really that's never been the case. We rock so hard with Bill Clinton and shit, and Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, they probably did more damage to the black community than Donald Trump did. I mean, so swag, I don't think we're missing swag. I just think that the people with the biggest voices are elevated because they're making money off of those voices. Whether you're an HR, anti-racism, fucking Zoom class having book writing person, or your Joanne Reed, who all of a sudden is super woke and making $1 million an episode and shit. Joanne Reed ain't the lick, and she don't got a socialist or class-based economics, and she's going to do everything she can to maintain that $1 million a paycheck in the same way that 50 Cent or Lil Wayne would. That's a class idea. That is not a black issue, and I think that that's the problem. And I'm sorry, we're going off on a whole nother tangent than the Constitution, but I mean, Come on, man. We really have to do better when it comes to the people that we follow for our politics and get our hot takes from. We
But
really
they need
do.
some swag.
There's
They need to be more prolific. I
right.
mean, I listen to a lot, I mean, I feel you on all the points, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is that there is not a coalition, there's not a group that's out here fighting fire with fire, so to speak.
It's also one of the markings, like if you reach a certain point, you start to become suspect to the leftists. Like any academic who's tenured, who's selling leftism, all the leftists look and say, hold on a second, dog. Like Chapo Trap House, y'all making hundreds of thousands of dollars and y'all still leftists. We're looking at you differently. And so, like, it has to be an organic, ground-based movement without a centralized leadership that is a class movement. And I don't know, like there's Casu's fire. Who Maurice, who is that? The funky
Funky
the
academic.
yeah, that fool is swaggy. When I listen to him, I'm like, yo, if he had a platform, I think his voice would reach further. And he's got the class-based politics. He's got a great analysis, but he would never end up on MSNBC. He would never end up on these things. Like it's just not the way that things are structured. Like there are blacklists for people and academics who are not going to be on there. And Adolph Reed is not going to be on there. All these leftists who, they got our few. They let our few on there. They let Cornel West get on there. But the second he really start getting spicy talking about class unity, they're gonna pull the plug. They want him to talk about hip hop and fucking jazz and shit. So I don't know, man. I get frustrated thinking about the Constitution and the state of the left because I just feel like so many people are not reading theory.
I think we also have to confront the fact that a lot of the people on the left, despite the kind of the cannibalistic nature, like you say, like once you get to a certain, platform or certain status, you got people trying to take aim and knock you down, shoot eagles, try to feed pigeons, Um, Despite that though, like when we talk about, somebody put on Twitter the other day, they were like, they asked like, okay, leftist Twitter, like what do you identify as? And you had these people talking about, yeah, I'm a socialist, but I want to be like a Buttigieg, like socialist or some shit like that. It was like, yeah, you got a lot of people like that claim to be left or progressive or liberal or whatever, and they're actually just center right when it comes to like actual like human rights and other social issues. So like when we start to get in a discussion about class analysis and what would be best for the people overall, you got people that are definitely shooting themselves in the foot or like cutting off their nose to spite the face, because they want it to be one way, but it's actually the other way. So yeah, maybe that's a good trend. Anybody else like y'all want to pipe in? Bernie,
Kristen.
Christian.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay quiet for this one.
All right, so the transition is okay. So when we talk about freedom, again, many people who are listening, if you've ever heard me talk, you know that like anybody else, I'm full of contradictions. I got my faults and foibles. I'm a Southern Black man from America, African in America, but I'm here in Japan trying to be an outside agitator. But I still love that haram, that magic animal, that pig, um, which, is a symbol of, for some people, subjugation in the American empire, but for some people, it means comfort. It means home. It means a good time with loved ones. So I'm always conflicted around this time about how I should celebrate being grateful for being around people that I love and care about, and the health of my loved ones. For any of my family members, again, anybody, my family and my friends listening, I love you. Thank you for listening. But we're gonna talk about the quote unquote Thanksgiving. I don't like to call it Thanksgiving just because I got some Native people that I rock with. It's a commemoration of for mainstream people, a genocide that they don't really talk about or care about. We could talk about commemorating stolen land as well, but for me, this time of year represents family, good food, struggling with my body image because I'm a daddy. I'm struggling with the dad bod, you know. But you know, this time eating like 10 pounds of turkey does not help. You know, mac and cheese. You know, so we had a debate the other day, and I think our brother Tracy had posted something on his Facebook and his social media. I think his Twitter too. Like people say they don't like turkey. They actually prefer the sides, mac and cheese, dressing or stuffing, however you want to call it, greens, sweet potatoes, pumpkin pie versus sweet potato pie versus pecan pie versus whatever pie you want. So I want to get into it. For y'all, what's the number one dish for the holidays? I like to call it Turkey Day, Thanksgiving. In your childhood or your young adulthood or just like your recent time around family or being around loved ones or friends, have you ever had to cook Turkey Day dinner? How did it go? And then name 2 things that you're grateful for. Who want to go first?
Looks like Paul wants to go first.
Megan got his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to put it down. I swear, I promise I'm trying not to talk so much.
Oh, come on, Chris and Bernie. We was talking. 3 of us. Go ahead. What y'all got?
Yeah, come on.
Mac and cheese or turkey?
Don't be shy.
Okay, I'm gonna start. So my favorite Thanksgiving food is probably sweet potato pie. So just cause it's really good. Yeah, turkey is mad dry. Like I don't know why like we decided to designate turkey as like the main Thanksgiving dish, but you have to put like pounds of butter on that thing. It's not moist. So what was the other question? Do I have to cook Thanksgiving dinner?
Have you ever had to like help or like be the main person that made the dinner? Or did you
Me.
ever have like a bad story? Like, yo, you messed up the mac and cheese, you know?
I never mess up the mac and cheese.
Uh-oh.
Listen, like, all right, so my roots, like, I'm not from the South, but both my parents are. Like, so you cannot mess up like good mac and cheese. All right. That is blasphemy. And you will be called out like at the dinner table. So
Yeah, that's fighting. Yo, if you mess up the mac and cheese or like, you know, any side dishes, man, like that's, you're going to get an uppercut to the dome.
literally, that's a wrap. So
Like you kicked out the family.
So Kristen, you for the sides. Kristen over here, sides 1, turkey 0.
I mean, do you guys like turkey that much? I mean, let's be honest.
Nah, he put in the chat, Rob, you just put in the chat, yo. Like I spatchcock mine.
You smash what?
Spatchcock?
Spatchcock. I put in the chat, man. I cut out the backbone and it cuts the cooking time in like half almost. Keeps juices in there, make the bird look ugly, but it's delicious, man. It's delicious. I don't know why y'all ain't put on, man. Everybody want to like take pictures for the gram or something like that. Like, oh, we got a great bird. Nah, man. Y'all can't knees, man. I want my knees together for my plate. Is that good? I'm just gonna sit there like a little 5-year-old kid, you know? That's what I
I'm
want.
just as confused.
You in the South.
Yeah,
You like I'm about to eat this.
He's taking a lot of pride.
Marina's like, yeah, I got that.
The backbone. I don't care. Backbone, smackbone.
He's like, y'all want to do Instagram and all that shit. This is the real shit.
Right.
I want to eat.
Bernie got all kind of Haitian recipes. Come on, hit us with it.
I'm crying. Yeah, no,
Hey.
because like what's really funny is that like Thanksgiving isn't like for us is not like the typical Thanksgiving for a lot of y'all. Because for us, like I was just asking my brother because I was thinking like we eat ribs, we have rice, what else we said? Sometimes we have double eggs. It was only a recent addition. We have pickles, which is like a side thing that you put on rice. I'm trying to think of all the names that we
Is that like frikake?
Kisa?
Frikake?
The heck is frikake?
Okay, you put this.
Frikake.
Gonna find all about
You
it.
about to get some. You will be eating it in like 2
Yeah.
minutes.
Okay, yeah, when I get to Japan, yeah.
Sprinkle me.
Okay, it's kind of like this. Oh, you mean kind of like, pepper and
Oh Lord.
But it's mostly
I
like
don't know.
weed and dried stuff.
Yeah, it's like seaweed, dried seaweed usually. with like some
Nori?
A little bit. Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like it's a little bit like that, but it's not dry. Like it's actual. Oh gosh, I'll show y'all a picture in the chat.
Yeah, share
But-
your screen, man.
Oh, you're right. Oh well, I gotta delete a
We
lot
on
of
Zoom,
tabs.
baby.
I gotta delete a lot of tabs.
Look, she doing like that. Like, wait, we'll give you a couple minutes, Bernie.
They got
Black
Tinder on
Planet.
it. How it works?
He was on Black Planet. Shut up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay,
the
so
homeboy on
before
Black Planet.
Oh no.
no, we ain't doing that again.
Telling
That
her
was
she the sun, moon, with moon, sun, moon, and star.
Hello, I want to make friends. Please WhatsApp me.
I see the universe in your eyes.
I'm a good
Yeah,
African man.
Pricklies, I don't know why I had a brain fart. Pricklies is Haitian pickled vegetable relish that you could put over rice, you could put over meat, like things like that. It's so dope. I love it.
Sounds fire.
So fire.
No, that's what I was thinking. Fire.
So good. But for us, I think, at least in my household, like Christmas time is more important. Well, not really Christmas, not really Christmas, but New Year's, because like I said, porridge, bomb.com. I love porridge. I know y'all kind of think of it like kind of cream of wheat and all that stuff, but it is a lot better.
Lisa, may I have more porridge?
And
We have that in Creole food too. It's not weird.
yeah, hey,
Cream of wheat.
it's
No,
way
it's not a cream of wheat.
it's not cream, it's way better. And soup jumu, but like during actual Thanksgiving, sometimes we have turkey, but it's not really important. We got a small oven. We ain't really cooking a big ass meat. Sorry for my language. But yeah, like ribs. Sometimes we have sandwiches. I am in charge of eating, so yeah, I mean, I make the dessert. I made banana pudding and things like that. What else do we have? I'm trying to think. My brother is here, and I'm trying to think what else we eat on Thanksgiving. Yeah.
What y'all drink?
What we drink?
I got a drink. Yeah.
Iced tea, like very.
Oh,
like,
it's
a lot,
okay.
Like very sweet, very sweet.
Sweet.
Like
oolong,
diabetes sweet.
like the carry out.
Kool-Aid
Like the
tea.
Southern Comfort
Yeah.
tea.
Like a lot. Like it has to be like.
Yeah, that diabetes.
Diabetes.
I'm in charge of that because I love sugar. So I'm always the one who's like making this. I'm so serious. I love sugar. Y'all.
Just stir and pour.
The store.
Megha, what your family eat? Megha, what your family eating?
Well, y'all know that I'm a part of the Philly Negro constituency, and you know what I mean. So my stepdad is
That hollow.
Yeah, you know what I mean. My stepdad is from the Panhandle in Florida, so he's very much a country boy. So in my house, I grew up. It was basically a mixture of Filipino food and soul food. So I mean, we had the regulars. We had collards and all types of pies and turkey, ham, but we also had like pancit, fried rice, white rice, lumpia, and actually, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. And it always feels weird to say that because my father grew up on a reservation as a Black Seminole. And I was always aware about, the mass genocide of indigenous peoples in the United States. I can't remember a time in my life where I kind of wasn't aware of that. But, we didn't think about it that way. We just thought it was like an opportunity to get the family together to eat. And one of the reasons I like that holiday is because it doesn't come with the same bullshit that Christmas came with, where you have to consume and have a bunch of presents, or birthdays where presents are there, or Halloween where you buy shit. Like, really, it was just about getting together, eating a bunch of food with the family. And for that reason, it's always been my absolute favorite time of the year. And it's one of the things I miss the most about living in the States, because number one, it's hard to find a turkey out here, and number two, it'd be hard to cook it, even if you spatchcock it and it ain't, Instagram ready. So I will say, I am not for the division between the sides and the turkey argument. I'm for building cadre and a unity between all dishes during Thanksgiving. However, will say that if I had to take the sides or the turkey, I'm obviously going to go with the sides because there's just more. But I have a confession to make to y'all. I don't just put this out in public, but this is something that's very true about me in my whole almost 38 years of life. I have never tried pie. Apple pie, sweet potato pie, pumpkin pie. I've had meat pies like a pot pie, but I've never eaten the confectionery type of dessert dish pie ever.
So you're not Irish?
Wait.
Like-
Mega. Wait. Mega.
Meat pie.
I would have been in the same boat if I didn't go to college, because I also didn't have pie until I went to college and only had
But
like
what
two
kind
pies.
of pie? Did you have white people pie or did you have our pie?
I was about to ask. that question.
You
I
said
mean-
college. You said college.
What is-
to a nigga pie?
She was like, "What's the difference?"
Oh, what's the difference?
We had some
What?
cheesecake yesterday. Wait, we had some cheesecake yesterday. It was good from Costco, but it didn't have a graham cracker crust. There was no strawberries. You know what I'm saying? So we was having this debate yesterday. I was like, this is a white people pie. So because the cheesecake gotta have the strawberry syrup on it with the you know what I'm saying, with the white stuff, whipped cream, and it gotta have the graham cracker crust. My wife was like, it's just a tart. And I was like, see, black people don't eat me tart. It means that the oranges don't taste good. The oranges is spoiled. You can say tart, you know what I'm saying? You say tang, then that's different, tart and tang. But so that's why I asked.
Heart tang,
Tart and tang.
Tampico,
Drank some tang, but we
tangy Tampico.
Alice in Wonderland. Ain't no black people in that movie. Anyway, so did
I'm
you?
dead.
What kind of pie? What kind of pie did you have?
Mega or me?
You.
I've never had pie.
Oh, right.
He
You're
never
right.
had
You're
pie.
right.
So
Sorry.
He in the
You just
middle.
said that. So in my college we had like a pie making contest in my freshman year with all the dorms, and we made, mind you, like I said, I had never had pie, so I was like, sure, whatever. Majority of my dorm was, well, I think it was mostly white. It was mostly white. It was white girls.
Yeah, of course. You went to your school is yes.
No graham cracker crust over there. No graham cracker.
Yeah, this ain't no graham crust.
Yeah, it wasn't graham crackers. We made chocolate pecan pie. All I can say, we won because it was
Sound good though.
It was
sound
we
good.
messed it up
Like,
because
with the chocolate, because pecan pie, definitely people have pecan. But
Yeah,
hold on. I gotta get
I-
back to it. How y'all grow without pie? I don't understand. Yeah, wait.
because
I guess not all
Listen, I
cultures
didn't-
have pies.
what is
Oh,
pie?
Nah, but
you had pie.
I mean, we had macaroni pie. We definitely had macaroni. Wait, whoa.
That is.
Wait, pause.
wait.
What macaroni and cheese? What y'all talking about? It's not pie?
No, it's not pie, sweetheart.
Oh, here we go.
No,
Ms. Ami. No, y'all lying.
no.
You mean
Dead
pie?
ass.
You bake
Dead
your
ass.
macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
baked.
some
We
people
just call it
a
macaroni pie.
Oh, you just
what the
put
fuck?
pie at the end of
I
it.
was about to fight y'all.
Y'all
'cause I
making
was
me
like,
feel
y'all not
real
talking about
bad.
macaroni.
But you don't call it pie.
I was like,
because you baking it.
A pie.
yo,
pie?
legit. I thought y'all put the mac and cheese in a pie crust, and I was like,
That's what I.
blasphemy. I was like, no, we can't be
No.
friends. I was like, exit the chat.
You better
I
keep
was
that
gonna kick me
yo-yo,
out.
that pie crust.
Delete her.
I've never had pie.
Brown sugar on the
because I
mac
don't
and
like
cheese.
the idea of hot fruit.
We
Don't
God.
try to throw me an apple and give me a hot apple. I don't do that. That's the devil's temperature. I'm
Mega, you've
serious.
never had one of those like apples, like deep fried apples and pie pastry?
Oh
No.
man.
Will not do it. When I
So,
was like 11, I realized that I was not fucking with that, and I just decided I'll never try pie, and that's been a through line in my life and one of the
Wait.
accomplishments I've ever to maintain. So I'm never doing
Wait,
it.
do you like cake? You like cake?
Oh, I mean, yeah, some cakes.
Okay, what about cookies or brownies?
Oh, I fuck with brownies and cookies. I'm telling you, just like
Okay, so you're more
apple pie, and I just, did an umbrella. I said, I'm not eating apple pie or any of this sweet potato pie. I'm just gonna leave it all alone.
Potato pie's
And I never
bomb,
cooked it.
man. You got that's
Yeah,
not.
I
I
don't
eat
like.
cake, cookies, ice cream. I mean, you know what I mean? This is it's all cake and ice
Belly
cream.
check, belly check. Oh,
See? About 20 pounds overweight right now.
Body
oh, sweet potato
positivity.
pie's the truth, man.
You gotta come see me at the gym then, man.
Hey, man.
Dog, I got
Once you get
a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym literally across the street from my place, Triforce, and I want to start rolling again, but
Who can make? Hey, man, we
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
find somebody who can make sweet
Be
potato pie.
patient.
You got to get that. Like
No,
just
no,
one
no.
slice.
I mean, I can, but it's hard. Like I want to get the. Yeah, I feel y'all making me feel very conflicted now, man. Because I'm like, yo, I mean, I'm not a pie person, but I'm like, yo, I'll mess a whole sweet potato pie up by myself. Pecan pie too, chess pie.
Man.
You know,
Chest pie.
yeah, man. I do pies and cakes, but I mean, like, I'm more of a cookie and brownies type person now. To be honest, I didn't really like birthday cake when I was growing up. Now I think about it, but
So
like,
y'all mess
you
with
give
the
me a
peach cobbler, man.
one of them sleeves like them.
Maurice,
Say that again.
peach cobbler.
Yeah, I do peach cobbler too, man. I mean, I'm from Georgia, man. Like,
Nigga, peach
you know,
cobbler is
but
bomb.
We all
I
do.
barely had it.
That's
or
the
like, okay, what about banana
That's okay.
pudding? Like, that was something that I didn't like, but I like grew into it. I'm like, it's all right.
I make it.
Banana pudding, that's what my mom used to make a lot. Nilla wafers.
Like, you like,
It's not cooked,
Them
bro.
Nilla wafers, man.
ooh, your Nilla wafers, bro.
The wafers, though.
Well, okay.
I'll do that.
Yeah,
That's
real velvet cake, man, and banana pudding, man. Like, and my mom used to make that. I'm like, man, this shit gross. But then I got older. I was like, oh, okay, I see why people do this right here, man.
German chocolate.
You know?
German chocolate cake.
Okay,
German chocolate.
German chocolate cake, yeah, upside down cake. We'll do the pound cake.
The 7-Up upside down cake. 7-Up.
7-Up.
Seven up upside down cake. Yeah, man. Like,
I don't know what that is either.
Upside down 7-Up cake.
I just heard of upside down
generation.
cake.
Hey, this is a generational gap, man.
Y'all not from the hood,
So-
man.
Generational
I
gap.
told you I
Generational
wasn't
gap, man.
when we were talking about guns. Told y'all. I live next to it. I wasn't in it.
It's from
Okay.
but my family from the South, right? But then it became a hood classic. It came from the South. Upside down 7-Up cake. Oh my goodness. Fire.
But is
Shout out
it
to
just
my
upside
auntie
down cake? Like, what's the 7-Up for?
Wait,
I'm thinking the same thing. Like,
7
I don't
Up?
even
You put
realize how
actual
to put that
7-Up,
together.
right?
You
Yes.
put 7-Up in the cake?
Okay,
Yeah.
I heard about it. I ain't tasted it.
Yeah, lemon lime.
What?
That's 7 Up.
Purple drink?
So what I'm
Yeah,
hearing,
I probably had no purple drink either.
so what
I
I'm
have.
hearing-
Oh, come on.
Yeah, y'all
That's
drink
how I
no
got my first
Tampico?
diabetes.
Mom tried to shield us from that shit.
Chris
That's
is like,
Sunday D.
mom tried to shield us. No.
I want some of that
Upside down
purple
7-Up.
stuff. I want some of that purple. My
Great
mom was
drink.
a PE and health teacher, so like, yeah, I tended to stay away from it, but it was always around though, like Hawaiian Punch or some shit like that.
Yo, my dad used to buy Tang.
That Tang too, that orange.
Yo.
The orange
Mm,
one.
Dude
wasn't
had that red
orange.
Kool-Aid. Yo, have y'all ever heard? I was reading an article about
Probably
like the
not.
tradition of like sorrel
It's okay.
and like red drink, like in the Black community. It was a really cool article how like people like drink red drink in America, you know, like red Kool-Aid or like red like cheer wine or something like that. But like they do the same thing with like sorrel and like Jamaica, and then like, you know, you go to West Africa, they got like hibiscus, you know, like they do stuff with that. It's like a tradition that was brought over. That's why I sent y'all that link about the Soul Food Scholar. He's a great follow, because I've I always like to, you know, again, like with Thanksgiving, like Mega said, like for me, it's one of the, you know, even though I'm an introvert and I don't really like people like that, like I still want to be around the people that I, you know, are in my circle. And one of the best ways you can show your love, you know, and your affection and your comradeship with somebody is breaking bread with them, eating food with them. You know, you get to know somebody over a great meal. You know, you can also like break the bond over some good meal too. You know, people fighting. You know, I guess like COVID might be a blessing in disguise for some people. It's like, yo, man, I don't really like these people in my family, so I ain't got to deal with their ass this year, you know, because of the pandemic. But you know, but yeah, so like for me, like I always try to get a gauge of a person through what they eat on the holidays, just because if you are one of those people that want to be around, you know, your loved ones and you have a big circle, it kind of shows up in how you treat your friends. It shows up in how you act in a professional manner too, you know. That's just me. I don't know. But yeah, I think we are close to the end. Yeah. Like, y'all got any, book club.
Oh yeah, what y'all reading?
What y'all reading?
Oh, also, this is not for the public, but Bernie requested that we make a library in the G Drive. So I put
Okay.
about 50 books. I'm going to separate the hotel books, controversial books. I'm going, you know, we were slaves, Black Greeks, you know, all those kind of the Moors, all that. I'm gonna put that in a different section, but it's some good reading. So check that out. Not for the public, for y'all. By Bernie request. What y'all reading? I don't know. What you reading?
I'll go first since I got a vamp. I'm just pulling up my little book list here. The first book that I'm reading is called Why Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism by Kristen R. Godsey. I'm also reading The Levers of Power by Kevin A. Young, which is kind of it's about the Obama administration. I'm not too far into that, but I'm in the middle of that. I'm also rereading The Assassination of Fred Hampton by Jeffrey Haas, and also Lacan and Contemporary Film, which is a film analysis using Lacanian psychoanalysis, which we need to read up on for ideology's sake. But yeah, that's it. Oh, I should say that this Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism book doesn't seem to have much theory in there, but it's an entertaining read. And I'll probably agree. Women probably would have better sex under socialism.
That's for the next.
It's a dope book. I'm not even kidding. It's dope. It's ill.
See, I'm being quiet right now, man.
I just got to make sure, you know, I think I do a pretty good job.
Are you a woman in socialism or what?
Hey, man. So, I moved the bar closer. My wife might be experiencing a little bit of that. You know what I mean?
All right. Pop it off, bro.
Yo.
Make it happen.
That's for them.
Bernie got a book in her hand. What you reading, Bernie? Who's the?
Sorry, Mega has me weak 24/7. So I'm also reading a lot of books, just as Mega. So the first book I'm reading with my professor from undergrad called Frederick Douglass, Race and the Rebirth of American Liberalism, by Peter C. Myers. So we'll be reading that alongside, crazy enough, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kennedy. So we're reading those two books together. For her class, because I'm like kind of a TA for her, I'm also reading The Civil Sphere by Jeffrey C. Alexander, which is, I think, y'all should read because I want to hear your critiques on that. Another book that I'm trying to finish is the New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration. Y'all know, by Michelle Alexander. I'm trying very slowly, to get through White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. And as a fun book, I'm reading The Wives by Taryn Fisher. I'm about to give up. Low-key, that book is it's about polygamy and jealousy, and I'm not messing with it. So I'm trying to give that up. But another fun book that I'm also getting into is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Daniel Whiskey, something like that. So yeah. Is that that?
Cool.
Let's see.
I was just typing what I was, so I don't forget. I've been bouncing around. Soul Dad Brother, Prison Letters of George Jackson.
My dog.
The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. One Person, No Vote by Triple OG, Dr. Carol Anderson. I've been reading my own stuff back to myself and trying to like edit because I'm always trying to improve myself. And also fighting, procrastination. That's my worst habit that I get into is just, I start writing something and then I put it down. I have all these legitimate reasons why I shouldn't write or read, and then come find out I've waited 2 years to write something that, really meant something to me. So yeah, I'm working on that. And then also, in light of this podcast episode, I started to reread the Constitution again, and then I've been reading like some of the briefs on some of the controversial cases like Roe v. Wade, Obergefell, Citizens United, just trying to get my mind around how some people can justify reducing the rights of people who are deemed citizens. So that's, for me, again, like one of the reasons why I claim to be a historian. I've always liked, the discipline of history is being able to look back and learn lessons from people that struggled and fought so hard to ensure that society that we live in keeps going. It's very important, like the generational gap in knowledge is a tragedy to me. If you have people that come up and they criticize the tactics or the aims of people that were trying to make a better place for everyone. So yeah, that's me. We having something in the chat right here, and I'm like, I don't want to do it out in public, but it's like, yeah, like for me, like now that I have been reading more and more stuff about like prison abolition and anti-racism and all that, like, and then also my own firsthand and secondhand experience with academics. Over the past, like, I want to say maybe the past 3 years now, I've been much more critical I've had a much more critical eye in stuff that I'm reading. Like when I was younger, I would read somebody like a Richard Wright or James Baldwin or even Nikki Giovanni. If y'all have ever seen the conversation between Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin, it's a great watch. I highly recommend. But like I would just read it and take it as gospel. But now I'm reading stuff, even by someone like I hold in high respect, like a John Henrik Clarke or John Hope Franklin. I'm like, yo, I disagree with that shit. So I encourage everybody that's listening, you can, I'll probably send out some links of the books I'm reading too. That's one of the things I always want to tell people that, if you care about me and care about people that look like me, care about people that are related to me, read. Political education is very important for all of these things that we've been talking about. For example, like the history of barbecue, history of like Thanksgiving, genocide of Native and Indigenous peoples in America. It's very important that people know the true story about what goes on in our country so we don't repeat the same bullshit that's been happening to people in our country, in the global South, anywhere. So the last thing, 2 things I'm grateful for.
Wait. We got Kristen and we didn't do our books.
Oh, yeah, y'all got, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
It's okay.
I'm seeing all these notes. I'm like, oh, you only got 5 minutes. Shit. Wrap it up. Wrap that shit up.
Sorry, Mega. Sorry. What's it called? So, like, I actually just started reading this book called Guns, Germs, and Steel. I don't know if you
great
guys...
one. Yeah, it's a good one. That's a good one.
It really is good because, I mean, basically it talks about like how like Europe, or technically Eurasia, like came to be like how it is now, like how basically their ideology of like race, like racial superiority, but as well as like this, how can I put it? This ideal of, how can, I'm like blanking out so bad right now. It's like because like they feel they're at the top in the racial like hierarchy, they feel like it is their just cause to basically show the world how to live. And the only way to do that is through colonialism. But it also touches base on some other things and how they were able to do that. I also have this book that I've been reading and my mom gave it to me as a gift. It's called The Highly Sensitive Person. So if you think you're a sensitive person, which I'm guessing she thinks I am, which is why she gave me the book, it's a good read. It basically tells you how to maneuver in like social situations, like when you feel anxious or to not be, I guess, to not feel like being sensitive is a bad thing. More so, you can play it to your advantage. It does have some advantages in society. But being an American, like, we tend to appreciate people who are more extroverted and vocal rather than people who are more sensitive and more introverted. So that's what that book is about. And I actually started, it's funny, Maurice, you said that you were reading some Richard Wright. I actually just started reading Black Boy again because I actually forgot like a lot of it. Like, I remember in middle school, like, I remember reading about him burning his mom's house down. And then like, I kind of forgot like the rest of it. So I'm rereading it to spark my memory up, but that's it.
Good book.
Great.
Yeah, man. I read a few of the books that you guys read, but because I read to Maya at night, so that's what we've been doing that since she's been little. So I got some kid books. So we read Beagle, which is a book about imaginary friends, The Adventures of Beagle by Dan Satat. We read Mary McLeod Bethune's story. So I have a book about her story and her life growing up and starting schools. For our book club, for BLM, we read Audre Lorde, The Master's Tools Will Never Dismantle the Master's House. And then we're going to read about Ruby Bridges, because my daughter actually read this book about that Chelsea Clinton wrote. And she wrote a book basically about like your typical standard, you know, kind of women. And all the women, we have books. So Maya came home excited, like, I read this book, and we read about Harriet Tubman, and we read about Oprah Winfrey. And so I looked up the book and I was like, oh, Chelsea Clinton. Of course they would have Chelsea Clinton book translated into Japanese at your library. But do you realize we have all these books upstairs? And she was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So she was like, yeah, Ruby Bridges. And I was like, we have the book, the whole book, not just the little story we have. So we're gonna read that tonight. And then, yeah, man, trying to figure out, we might read Black Skin, White Mask by Frantz Fanon, or that How to Be Anti-Racist. The next book is coming. So, but I got a bunch of books lined up. But I'm trying to think, you know, I'll check out some of the books you guys are checking out. Lester K. Spence. I was knocking the hustle. I'm thinking about reading that book. So that seems pretty interesting.
All right.
I love kids' books.
Hey y'all, I've got to
Gotta
vamp.
bounce, yeah.
I realized I didn't say what I was thankful for. I'm of course thankful for all of you, and always having these conversations. It helps me develop my own personal beliefs and also expands them to, I don't know, it just makes y'all make me a better person. So I really am appreciative to all of you, and I'm really appreciative of actually all of the dope people who I've met in the Tokyo community. I just keep, everybody that I meet is so dope. Like just the other day, I was interviewing Tahira Walker, who is April Walker of Walker Wear's sister, the legendary pioneer of fashion design. And it's just like, yo, everybody's dope. Y'all are dope. I really appreciate y'all. And yeah, thank you. But I got to be out. Peace, y'all. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Mega.
Thanks, Mega.
All right, who wants to talk about what they're grateful for, thankful for?
I'm grateful that my wife can cook collard greens. Because no, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. And
Dead ass. Wait, y'all got a collard green hookup?
Go Brazilian supermarket, fam. Go to the Brazilian supermarket. You can get anything you
Oh.
want. Black eyed peas, collard greens. You can make your 7-Up cake. They got everything. Everything. Basically,
Wait, what's the name of the one y'all got?
What one is called, I think, Coco, and then one else Bolo, or I'm not saying it right. It's Portuguese. But if you Google Brazilian supermarket, this is the cheat code for being black in Japan.
There you go.
Not a Brazilian supermarket, because everything you want is there. They just call it something in Portuguese. But
Right.
yes, and so I'm very thankful for my wife and Maya. Maya always keeping me grounded and challenging me. And yeah, I'm thankful for working for myself. I love teaching at our school, and I've almost a year of just being in Japan and working in our small business, and I've learned a lot, and the kids are great, and I hope to continue that because I don't want to work for nobody else. I would if I have to, but
Mega would be co-signing that mad hard.
yeah, we're gonna create some jobs, jobs.
I hear you on that, man. Definitely.
Oh yeah, Fejada. Yeah, they got that too. I got a can of that in there actually. That was good.
Yeah, man. I got to look up the Brazilian restaurant. I'm thankful that you just gave me that information because I got some collard greens from the military base, but I need that hookup like year round, So I'm like, I need to find somewhere I can get it fresh, But yeah, I'm thankful for my family again. Like, I'm thankful for everybody listening. I'm thankful for y'all being able to share your time and energy with me. Yeah, I'm thankful that I'm here. We still, got a lot of work to do in terms of like making the world better. Like I hear, Paul talking about like reading to his daughter. I'm like, yeah, that's the everyday battle, keeping your kids, minds full and hearts, light, So yeah, I'm just thankful I'm here, still able, still mobile, still, clear on what I need to do for, my loved ones. Yeah. Who wants to go next? You muted.
You're both muted.
Oops.
You're muted.
We stay on mute. Basically. I'm thankful, honestly, to be alive, of course, because I mean, if I weren't, I wouldn't be able to experience you guys and experience the joy that is talking with you all. I know I sound sarcastic, but that's just how my voice is. I'm so sorry. Like, people think I'm trying to sneak diss them and I'm not. So I thank you guys for having patience with me as well. But no, seriously, like it's so good to be able to come together and speak with people with different ideologies and, just have like a really like progressive and a really like good conversation. And thankful for friends, family, and the love that I can share with you all. So, yeah.
I keep it down real quick. I'm almost done. So, hey everyone, I am grateful. I am grateful for my family, and my friends. Sorry, this is so funny, but yeah, no, I'm truly grateful for my family, my friends who, encourage me every day in different ways, keeping me smiling. Grateful for all the opportunities that I was able to do since COVID. So like being part of this podcast and the Sweet Talks podcast that I'm in, as well as just like having more insightful and engaging conversations such as these. Also want to just shout out, our ancestors, as I'm becoming more spiritual, like, understanding where I came from and knowing who came before me and like learning about like people in my family has been really really encouraging and also beautiful, as I'm stepping out of a box and going into what is actual spirituality. And so in that same vein, I'm really grateful for my spiritual teachers who helped me just like understand the essence of me and like learning to love me, that I no longer, self-doubt or, talk down on myself and things like that. Also, I'm just like grateful to the universe for all the opportunities that I'm about to encounter, but also all the opportunities that I've had in the past. So I just want to shout out like, the non-human world for everything that been like helping us right now, because I think it's really important, especially as we are all spiritual beings. And that could be a conversation that we have like sometime in the future about like spirituality and religion, if we're comfortable with that. But I think it's really important to shout out like those who are spiritual beings that have helped us. damn. I hope I don't sound like a hippie, but
You good?
but yeah, I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm also grateful for all of you who became like practically my second family, second friend group, and I'm so excited when I go to Japan. Oh, I know I might be like 19 hours or something hours away from y'all, but I'm ready for all that. I'm just looking at Paul because Paul looks so done.
I'm just thinking about how we getting Kristen back to Japan. That's all I was thinking about.
Oh yeah,
Kristen back.
Christian gotta come.
I'm coming back in March.
Hey,
でも、あの時は just for visiting though.
That Jobu, because you can visit all of us.
yep.
I will, I promise.
Room is ready.
Don't go there.
Cool.
Wait, where are you visiting?
Osaka.
Ooh, I'm 30 minutes away.
Perfect. Oh, what's wrong, Maurice? I can go to Tokyo if you want to.
Everybody else is in Tokyo. I'm the only one.
What? You can meet halfway? No.
I can take the Shinkansen. That's okay. I don't
Nagoya is
mind.
halfway. No.
Well, we got to see what Miss Corona talking about though.
Yeah, for sure. But,
So,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
March. Put it on calendar.
all right,
All right,
Yeah.
folks.
I might head out. I want some, takoyaki out in Osaka.
Oh, isn't it famous for takoyaki?
Mm-hmm.
So
I mess it up whenever I go out there.
it's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we wrapping it up. We
All
finished.
right, we wrapping it up. Yeah. So thank you all again. Thank you, and sorry again for the change of time. I had to like haul ass home to like talk to this dude. He was billing us an hour or whatever, like consulting us about, we're fighting with these insurance companies now. So, some bullshit, but
All good.
got to deal with it.
Cool.
All right, I'm gonna catch y'all on the flip side. I'm going to the gym now.
Namaste. Happy Thanksgiving,
Ibambe.
guys.
Yeah.
Ibambe.
Happy Turkey Day.
Thank
And
you.
we'll talk soon.
Bye bye.